and gentlemen, and welcome to Ken's Corner. Today we have Micheal Pearl, the fabulous musician, actor, producer, he does everything. Here's Micheal.
Hey Ken, how you doing, man?
Good. So I always like to start off as, how did we meet? You tell me your story and then I'll fill in the truth.
Actually, we met in Burbank at one of the health clubs.
Yep, I guess it was the YMCA. Our good friend Tamu Wuya said, hey, there's this guy here. He looks like a bodybuilder and acts like Clark Gable and performs like Stevie Wonder. You got to meet him. I said, get out of here.
Dark Gable.
Oh, Dark Gable. And I met him, and the first time I met you, Micheal, I remember you just had this huge wealth of knowledge. I'm going like, this is a guy I've got to work with. And I said, and we hit it off right away. We talked about politics, religion, spirituality, race, everything within a short period of time. We said, and then of course, like I do with all the talented people I meet, I said, would you ever consider being in one of my shows? And what did you say?
Well, I'm going to actually go back.
Okay.
You want to know how we actually met?
Okay.
Okay. I met your daughter first. I think it was your youngest one.
Oh, yeah, Quinn. Yeah.
And she looks like Julie Newmar. And so I met her by asking her if she was related to Julie Newmar. You know Catwoman.
Yes,
Catwoman.
Catwoman.
And I was sitting in the lobby, and then you came out, and then she introduced us. It was your daughter that introduced us.
I thought it was Tamu.
No, it was your daughter.
Oh, you know what I think happened is that was true, and then I think later on, Tamu said, do you know who you were talking to? And then he said, well, he's very talented, he does this, he does that. And then later, the next time I saw you, then we actually started talking and figured it out. So that was how many years ago?
That's got to be 6, 7, something like
20, that. So I was there 2015, 16, 2016. Well, my daughter came in 2016, so it'd have to be around 2016, 2017.
Okay.
It's been that long.
And that was about my last days working out there. So. Okay.
So then, once you said yes to be in the show, do you remember what the first show was that we did together?
I think it was Hedge the Bet is what it was.
It was called Hedge the Bet, and I asked Micheal, hey, do you think you could come up with a original song? And then he said, and he was like, I thought, what? Does he not know any original songs, or I don't know? So he gets there, and I said, did you come up with them? He goes, yeah, I think I got one. And he had like 4 or 5 songs for me to choose from. And that's, as a producer, you ask people or as a talent for some input, and they usually either don't give it to you or give it to you very minusculely or small. And he had enough songs that I could have written a musical. So I think we picked 1 or 2 of his songs, and he sang them. And then I had him and the other gentleman in the show, they had to sing, and that was all part of the thing. Then did we do another show before the one we just did last year? We
did. I think Hedge the Bet. Well, I know that we were doing a lot of shooting, so I'm not sure how you how it came out in post, how you cut it up. But I know we did Hedge the Bet. We did do something. I can't remember the name of it, but we did do something else.
I think Yipper. Everything was
yeah, that's it, Yipper.
And because normally when I write something original, I usually do it as a one trick pony, and it was so good, and there was so much chemistry between Micheal and the other actors. I said, let me just do another episode and kind of retool it, and that's when we came up with Yipper. And Micheal was in that, and then COVID hit, and we kind of tried to work back together, and we were actually trying to buy a building together.
Yeah, we were working on getting a studio that we could both do production in.
And so then most recently for Christmas, we did a Christmas show, and Micheal was the lead, and we both sang together in that, and he was absolutely wonderful. And website, you'll be able to find that too. And so I know you guys are wondering, Micheal sings, he's a producer, he's an actor, and you probably want to see some of his original talent. So now is the time.
We lost a bright one the day that the real said die.
exactly what are you doing right now as your career?
Well, I'm building a network called Fourth Writer, and that's a real extensive conversation.
And you've got to look up Fourth Writer. I'll have the links at the end of these videos. His logo and his intros are just absolutely top notch, professional. But I'll let you continue.
Yeah, and I'm recording actually right now one of 3 albums I'm getting ready to release, and it's basically as they say in the film business, it's a trilogy, and it's actually a lot of music that in the past when we were cutting our teeth learning how to actually do recording and performing and all that. Music that never really got recorded properly. So, and the songs were really nice. They were really strong. So, went back and I'm re-recording them and I'm going to release them. It's kind of like having unfinished business. Of course, the only other problem is that you're constantly writing new songs. So I have, literally thousands of songs that you want to record and you only have so much time. So hopefully I get the opportunity to record everything that keeps popping out of my head.
And you also have a webisode, is that what you call it?
Oh, you mean the podcast?
Oh, yeah, the podcast. Tell us about that podcast.
Well, there's a couple of podcasts. One's called Radio Foreplay, and that's the host, which is me, Michael Anthony Pearl, but also known as Michael P. America. And Radio Foreplay is a podcast and radio show that deals with independent artists. And so we promote and interview, and we try to make the public aware of independent artists. Some really great artists out there. They're just not signed to any labels, but they're out there doing it as much as they can, and they come from all over the world, which is really interesting. And it's really great because you have an opportunity to deal with the artist and speak to them versus having to go through a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy who brings a sandwich to him and finally gets back to you.
Now, one of the things I failed to bring up earlier was that Michael just didn't fall into talent. He actually worked with some renowned musicians. Tell us about your Prince experience.
Well, my Prince experience, I'm from Minneapolis. Prince was such a large personality, and Minneapolis in itself was way too small for a personality like that. I mean, the guy, in stature, he wasn't that big, but if you look at his personality, it was massive. And so I actually got an opportunity to do more of the film stuff and the video stuff and things of that nature. I got to be around the music, which was really great, and listening to him and some conversations. Nothing. I'm not going to tell you we were best friends and we hung out and we went driving and I was in the studio. I wouldn't give you any of those kinds of stories. But Minneapolis at that time was not a big city and everybody knew everybody. And so he was very accessible and he made himself accessible. And a lot of people didn't believe he was accessible, but he was. It was just that he was very picky about who had access to him.
And was he shy, Michael?
I never believed he was shy.
Okay.
I don't think anybody can entertain like that and be shy. I just think that he was very selective when he was going to, turn the persona on. And if he wasn't turning on the persona, then he was actually studying his environment or he was working. It's one of the hardest working people you would ever meet. And, like I had...
Besides you, of course.
Well, you learn. I had, an encounter with James Brown, which was very, very interesting.
Actually, you did. Yeah, actually, there's a video. If I haven't already shown it, I'll show it at this point, either up here or as my voiceover. Michael was actually a polished dancer, and he danced like James Brown. I think actually James Brown stole your style.
Well, yeah, I think there's a few people, but I'm gonna leave it at that. I can't mess with the guy. He's not around to defend himself, but. And we did have a very interesting encounter, and I think it was relative. A lot of people are territorial. I don't think he was any different, and I know that he had a few things to say about Prince that was actually good. Not bad stuff, but it's kind of like when you have these big names. Big names have a territory, and everybody wants to stake it out. And they've got their it's like, this is mine, and these guys do this because of me. Yeah, it was cool though. James was really cool. It was actually very funny. And Prince was very tongue in cheek, his sense of humor, in my opinion. Other folks might disagree with me, but the one thing I can say that every time I had encounters with him, and did a great deal, had a great deal of encounters. It was always very, very respectful, and that's the one thing. So, and I guess I can leave it at that. But it was fun. I call those the purple days.
The purple days for the purple rain. Now, Michael also has, as he said earlier, fourth writer, and not only does he, like you said, sing and act and produce, he's the main producer on Fourth Writer, and we can also put a link up there to see where you can see some of them produced. With that, what's your? We know you're doing your podcast. We know you're doing your music. What's like down the road 2 or 3 years? You said something about movies and movie studios. Is that what we were talking about earlier?
The network is happening right now. Movie studios are definitely.
And what name the network again, Michael?
It's the Fourth Writer Network.
Fourth Writer Network.
So you'll hear Fourth Writer Network, Fourth Writer Films, Fourth Writer TV, Fourth Writer Radio. We have 10 radio stations. We're streaming on Roku right now. It's Fourth Writer Films. We have news, CSAN, which is Current State of Affairs Network. That's part of the Fourth Writer family. That's going to be coming out. We're a true media publications company. We also do work with independent art film, independent recording artists. And the bottom line is that we're trying to boost and help independence. We're independents too.
And that's kind of how we're working together. I'll also be on Michael's webisode podcast, and we're going to kind of like do a crossover on that. So Michael and I, we decided we're going to still keep in touch, even though we're kind of doing our own separate things. So coming in the future, we're going to reshoot a couple of different projects, and Michael's going to be one of the standout performers in that. We're doing Go Faith Yourself, and we'll probably do another rehash of one, and hopefully we'll write some parody routines because he's so good at music. I've got to get him to do that. Sounds like a lot of stuff going on in Michael P. America, or Michael P.
and MichaelPAmerica.com.
Oh, there you go. And we want to thank Michael for coming today, and we're so glad you could join us after so many years of laying low because of COVID and whatnot. Again, welcome back, and thank you for joining us at Ken's Corner.